Thank you so much for joining. This is the second session of our series called What Would Jesus Do? Wonder if Jesus had lost his job this season. What would his response be? How would he react? What options would he have and what advice would he give to those facing the same predicament? Stay tuned as I ask Pastor Thomas Karia, what would Jesus do in the economic meltdown?
We are surrounded by issues that is above us and beyond us. Issues that not only baffle us but also bring about a sense of hopelessness. A question I often have thought about while facing these issues is, what would Jesus do? What would he do in the pandemic? What would he do help us with the mental health problems? What would he do if he had lost his job? Join me with our guest Thomas Karia as we together ask, what would Jesus do?
Pastor Thomas, this has been one of a kind of a season. First, the novel coronavirus, then the economic contraction, 23.9% drop in the GDP, jobs lost and salary cuts and so on and so forth. Let's say Jesus was employed in this carpentry shop and he lost his job as a carpenter. What would Jesus do?
Well, if Jesus was a carpenter, then this season was perhaps the best for him. No, I say that because I heard from friends around that a lot of carpenters had worked overtime with their shutters down because they had so much of demand from the shops for carom boards. In fact, most of us started working from home, and because we are working from home, a lot of us required a lot of furniture, and a lot of our carpenter friends were busy providing us furniture for our homes when there. Now, of course, some businesses did good in the season, but some businesses really did bad in the season of the pandemic that we all were plunged in together. But on a larger note, I think the season has been difficult for a lot many people out there. I know quite a few people who have lost their jobs and some who have lost their salaries slashed. Some even had to shut their own businesses. But if you are someone who lost your job, it can be extremely stressful. Also, I would think a bit shameful too. Now, why is it shameful, you may ask? You see, in a rural area, when you ask a person who they are, they usually would describe about their family, their geography, their lineage and all of that. But you see, in a city, when you ask a person to describe who they are, they would describe their vocation. They will say, I'm a teacher, I'm an employee at so-and-so business, or I'm working at a particular plant. So today, if we are having job losses, that is just not merely an economic crisis, but I think it is largely an identity crisis, because identity is so tied to what we do and where we work. But here is where I think Jesus might probably say, look, your worth does not come from what you do or your job. Your worth comes from who you are. You are a person deeply loved by God, irrespective of whether you have a job or you do not have a job. So that's where I think the Judeo-Christian worldview of Jesus would really come back to us and say, look, you are deeply loved by me in spite of having lost your job. Second, if you have lost your job or you were probably forced to shut down your business, I think you must ask yourself, what else can I do with what I have right now in my hand? Now, I know of a family who ran e-rickshaws to transport people from a point to the metro station. Now, with the lockdown, everything got shut down and the business went down. So they had to sell the e-rickshaw and start a roadside eatery shop. And the new business is doing pretty well at the moment with lockdown being lifted. So you have to ask yourself, what can you do with what you have at the moment in your hand? Last, remember, this is a season. Economy will rise and economy will fall. We are not in this permanently. So do not lose hope. For some of you, it might look like the end of the world, but believe me, it is not the end of the world. Hang in there. Remember, this is a season, and seasons do not last long. Seasons come and seasons go, but we got to stick on in this season, for season will come and season will go.
If Jesus were to give a Sermon on the Mount in the economic meltdown, what would he emphasize?
Well, indubitably, he would talk about the poor and the marginalized. He always did, didn't he? He would ask us to share our resources, support the have-nots, and come alongside those who are struggling in the season of the pandemic. Yes, there are many who have come forward and have contributed to the philanthropic efforts. But I think this pandemic is such where it would require all of us to put a lot more concerted effort in the days ahead. Tone and I have embraced the idea of tithing the 10% from our grocery. So we have adopted a family whom we support. In Hindi, you have the saying which says, "Kisi ka ghar ka diya jalana," basically meaning lighting someone else's household. How would you light somebody else's household with the resources that you have right now? You see, Jesus would want each of us to come in to support those who are struggling with their basic needs. The biblical principle always has been very clear. It basically says, "Give and you shall be blessed." I'm also reminded, Roji, of the words of Jesus in the final judgment to those who would ask him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or feed you or thirsty or give you something to drink? When did we see you being a stranger or when did we see the need of inviting you to our homes or you wanting clothes or food for that matter? When were you sick or in prison?" And Jesus would reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you have done for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you have actually done for me." So whatever we can do in this time to those who do not have, we're basically doing it for Jesus. So the question that we all should ask is, what role can I play today in the pandemic? Whom will I support today? How can I come alongside as an individual, as a church, in building and sustaining communities that are around me? How can I be a river and not just being a reservoir where I'm giving out from the resources God has given me? You see, being blessed that I could be a blessing to the community around. So Jesus' words would be to go and be a blessing to people around us and to our communities.
Any particular Bible words that you think of that Jesus might quote to comfort those in the economic contraction?
Well, I think the entire Bible is God's inspired word, and they're given to guide us. However, one verse I think that probably Jesus would quote back at us is from Matthew 11:28 and 13, which says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Now, to find a state of rest, a state of tranquility, a state of calmness is very vital, especially in these times, isn't it? To be calm in the storm. And this state of rest, I would think, is not found in anything that is unstable. As C.S. Lewis rightly said, "Don't set your happiness on something that you may so easily lose. Put it on the solid ground. Put it on Jesus, who promises us to give us his peace, a peace that passeth all understanding." In Hindi it would say, ऐसी शांति जो हमारे समझ के पार है, that passes the understanding of the world around us, a peace that is amidst the storm, tranquility that the world do not understand. So, he would want us to put our trust in him, put our confidence in him, and to hang on to him in this difficult times. Again, Ruji, let me reiterate for those who are listening to us, if you're somebody who has really lost your job and going through economic turmoil, can I say this? Put your hope in the Lord. Hang in there. But also remember, this is a season, and seasons don't last long. Seasons come and seasons go. But just hang in there, and we will make it through. Definitely, yes.
Thank you so much, Pastor Thomas, for answering all our questions. It was very insightful. And thank you guys for watching the video till the end. Don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe to Kingdom Culture. We'll see you in the next video.